People Station V-103, legends still making history. Cincinnati, Ohio, LA Reid, Antonio Reid. I mean, when I was a kid, first getting into DJing, the deal was like the deal. Like, you guys created a sound that was so crazy. Like, what was like the first beginning of the deal coming together with you and Babyface and the rest of the guys?
The deal was actually formed in my hometown, Cincinnati, Ohio, with myself and my longtime best friend and bass player from high school. His name was Kevin K.O. Roberson. And the two of us decided to start the band. And we went out and got two other classmates from our high school class, Carlos and D, and we had a band. But we felt like we were missing something. And then one day I met this young, incredible songwriter named Kenny Babyface Edmonds. At that time, his name was Kenneth Edmonds. And he was in a session with Midnight Star doing a song called Play Another Slow Jam, This Time Make It Sweet. And I was there in the studio with them. And when he came out of the booth, he and I started talking and we bonded. And I asked him to join my band. So he joined the deal. And we went off, made some demos, sent it to Dick Griffey at Solar Records, got a record deal.
Wow.
Over the phone.
How was the relationship with you and Dick Griffey? I heard some crazy stories. I heard some great stories.
Oh, it was incredible. My relationship was incredible with Dick Griffey. Yeah, it was. I mean, he was the guy that gave me my break. You know. I think that we all have to look at our career journeys and the people who made the difference, the people whose decisions made the difference in your life. Those are the people that you must treasure and cherish and celebrate always. And for us, it was Dick Griffey. Yeah, so that's my guy.
Solar, Sounds of Los Angeles Records.
Yes.
Wow.
One of the greats, man. Dick Griffey's one of the greats for sure. Right alongside, Berry Gordy, there's Dick Griffey, one of the greats.
Now, after the deal, I guess you guys dismantled and you and Babyface moved to Atlanta?
Yeah, we moved to Atlanta after we had a big hit with the song Two Occasions.
Right.
And at that time, Babyface and I were also writing and producing for many other acts. And just by sheer coincidence or fate, all of those songs started to have success at the same time. And we found ourselves with 4 or 5 songs on the charts. And we lived in Los Angeles and decided that maybe there was a greater opportunity in this beautiful town down south that was the Black Mecca, that had Martin Luther King, that had Andrew Young, that had Maynard Jackson, that had this beautiful Black Mecca. And we were like, let's pick up and move to this beautiful Black Mecca and make a contribution to whatever that might be and soak up some of that beautiful royalty of Atlanta. And we made a decision to move to Atlanta in 1989.
Now, and we didn't. For the young people watching and listening to this video, I want you guys to really pay attention because LA and Babyface, LA, Antonio Reid, they didn't take the elevator. They took the stairs.
That's right.
And he's still climbing. He's still making moves. That's why the topic of this is legends still making history. Now, moving to Atlanta, Georgia in 89?
1989.
Who was the first artist that you guys signed when you came to Atlanta?
Let's see, the very first artist we signed, we brought an act with us from Los Angeles called Damian Dame. They were the first act. But the first Atlanta-based act was actually Divine and 90 Miles Per Hour. Our good friend Divine Stevens, who became an incredible cultural leader and choreographer and stager and manager and artist developer. But he was the first artist we signed, was Divine and 90.
Wow. So Divine and 90 was the first artist after coming to Atlanta, being here for a minute. And then a lot of big, amazing things started happening. And I can see where Divine was probably a part of the fabric of a lot of big things happening after him being signed as an artist. you understanding how business works. Like my podcast is called Business is a Talent. I want young people to understand that there are a lot of people that are extremely talented, but they're not on the mic, they don't write songs, they don't play instruments, they don't program drum machines. I want our people from our culture to understand that a lot of when you look for the best lawyer when you go to jail. When you get locked up, you're looking for who's the most talented lawyer. So when you're an artist, you got to find the most talented managers, the most talented marketers, the most talented engineers. Like there are a lot of people behind the scenes that are extremely talented that make these situations move. And we have a lot of violence going on inside of hip hop right now with the artists and different people in their camps. I want them to understand that when you're getting money and when you're successful, when you're from a certain area and you become international, when you become national, the people that you're feuding with really have nothing or don't contribute anything to what you have going on in a big scam of what's going on. So you really have to understand, once you start a beef, it never stops. Once people start getting killed, it never stops. So why can't we coexist and understand that I'm not I don't think like you, and you're not I don't think because you don't think like me, but we can coexist. So I want young people to watch this video and listen to this audio and understand that we can all coexist, because L.A. Reid is like, to me, L.A. Reid is one of the most special people in the music business of our time, period. You gotta think, this guy's touched everybody from Divine Stevens to the Holland Place Mobsters to Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri, Rico Wade, Outkast, the whole Dungeon family, all the way to Jay-Z, to Jeezy, to Rick Ross, to Rihanna, to Yella Beezy, to Bonfire. Like this, the guy that you're watching on this video is bigger than money. You're bigger than money. And this whole interview is about celebrating you as a man, as a person that we have a lot of respect for in this culture.
Thank you so much, Greg. You know, like this is a lot of what you said resonates with me. So many things that you said. And I think that one of the most relevant topics is the value of life. The value of life is, you know, what I've tried to do with my career. And listen, none of us are perfect, right? We aim high and we do the best we can. But one of my goals has always been to open the door of opportunity. Now, yes, I am capitalist and I would like to have success and I'd like to make money for my family and hopefully for generations to come. But that money was never my driver. My driver was opportunity. And I feel that when people like you or people like me get in a position to open doors of opportunity to others, that's our responsibility. And there's so many, you're right, there's so many wonderful opportunities in the music business and in the entertainment business that have nothing to do with you being in the video or being in front of the camera. That the behind the camera is where the action happens. You know, you're right, there's management, there's production, there's so many jobs in the record business that, you know, if people take the time, if young Black people take the time to study it, you'll find that whether it's digital marketing or whether it's publicity or whether it's record promotion or whether it's commerce at the DSPs, the Spotifys and Apples and titles of the world, there's artist representation and management, there's agencies to book talent for tours. There's so many jobs that young, smart people are versed in because we understand our culture better than anyone. So why would we not enterprise and take advantage of our competitive advantage, which is we know our culture. We know what the kids want to hear. Young Black kids know what other young Black kids want to hear, what they want to watch, what they want to wear. So why isn't that at the foremost of our concern instead of this very shameful, pointless devaluing of life? And you're in Atlanta. I came to Atlanta because it was the Black Mecca. It was beautiful before I got there, right? And it became more beautiful as time went on. How do we not celebrate and respect and protect Atlanta? How? That's the black Mecca. That is Black Hollywood. That's where black people go to have big homes and drive in beautiful cars and raise families and get great educations and be aligned with the city politics, whether it's all the beautiful black mayors that we've had in that city. You know, and I could go all the way back because I've been there for a while. How do we not respect and love and celebrate and embrace the beauty of this beautiful black city? How do we tarnish the beauty of that city? That city.
Let me tell you something crazy. I produced a underground documentary in like 2002, 2003, and I interviewed Jermaine. He was one of the people I interviewed. I interviewed Jermaine, Pharrell, Birdman, Trick Daddy, a lot of people. Long story short, Jermaine Dupri says, I go to L.A. Reid and Babyface's house. We have a meeting. I go to L.A. Reid and Babyface's house. L.A. was doing something, and Babyface pulled me to the side, and Babyface told me, you know, Jermaine, you know, crisscross, that's cute, but you got to do it again. You got to do it again. You got to do it again, and you got to do it again. And in that conversation, Jermaine Dupri told me on camera, he said, that one statement from Babyface changed my life. It changed the way I assessed everything that I was doing in the game. It humbled me. It made me understand, like, in order to be considered one of the best to ever do this, I got to figure out how I'm going to keep doing this and how I'm going to do this and do that, because I know a lot of the backstories of, we talked about it already. I already interviewed Jermaine. I interviewed Dallas. We talked about Jermaine was on tour. He had the records. Dallas had the sampler. But the genius of this whole situation, when you think about Atlanta, two guys moved to Atlanta that's from Cincinnati, and they were able to create something that may never happen again. Like we're talking TLC, Toni Braxton, Usher, Outkast, Donell Jones, Youngbloods, T.I. Like, we're talking, if we remove these 6 or 7 people from this era of music, that's like almost removing Motown.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In that journey and coming to Atlanta and just understanding and having this vision, like, what was on your mind when you had a meeting and an audition with Outkast, when you had an audition with TLC, or you had an audition with Toni Braxton, or you had an audition with T.I. or Donell Jones? Because, like, people don't understand. For me, and this is public knowledge for me on Twitter, on social media, Donell Jones' first album is probably one of the most incredible sonically produced albums of all times.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It's interesting because now, you know, LaFace started at 89, and I think I left Atlanta to go to New York around 2000, 2001. And when I think back now of all the music that was created during that time period, the standout album for me is Where I Want to Be by Donell Jones. Like, that's my standout.
When you listen to that album, I mean, Outkast album incredible, TLC incredible, Toni Braxton, Usher incredible. When you listen to the mix and the way this album was constructed, when you listen to these songs, it's like, it's special. Like, it may not have sold 1 million copies. It's one of those situations where you can't measure success by the money that it generated. You can't measure success about how many albums it sold. If you love music, you play all these albums, you like, this right here is something else. Like, but you being an executive, you being in the office, and all these guys coming into your office to audition to be signed for your label, you playing their music. Like, what was it like? Well, give me some of the examples of, like, when you first saw TLC, or when you first saw Outkast, or when you first saw Toni Braxton. Like, what was?
Well, you know, I had some lessons, man. I mean, I had some teachers, but the experiences for me were, the first act we signed at LaFace was Damien Dame, and they were really talented, and may they both rest their beautiful souls in peace, because we lost both of them shortly thereafter on separate occasions. You know, so that was very sad for us. But the we really worked hard on their records, and we really, you know, Face and I put in a lot of time, and Daryl Simmons and KO. We all put a lot of time into the development of their music. And when we put it out, we didn't get the reception that we'd expected. We were expecting, we had done Babyface's albums, we had done Pebbles, we'd done The Deal, we'd done Johnny Gill, Bobby Brown, Karen White, all before we started LaFace Records. So when we started, we expected the same success, and we didn't have the same success. And so I went to New York and I asked Clive Davis, like, sir, when are you going to push the button? And he said, what do you mean? I said, you know, we've had so much success, and then we signed this act, our first act on LaFace. We give all of our best material, but you're not pushing the button. He said, push the button? What do you mean? And he says, and we were at an Arista conference in Miami. That's where we were. And he says, sit down right here for a second. I sit down next to him. He says, watch this next performance. Whitney Houston comes on stage and she sings. And he looks at me and says, do you think you have Whitney Houston? And I was like, oh, so I got to sign better. I got it now. And I went back, thought about it, and then I got very lucky. Pebbles met T-Boz and Left Eye and brought them to our house to meet me and to, you know, sort of, you know, play dress up with her and whatever they, you know, the girl stuff. And Damien Dang, that act, had a dancer singer in the band, in their background band, called, her name was Rosanda. And I saw Rosanda and thought about Left Eye and T-Boz and said, yo, you should come to my house and meet these other two girls. And so we take her to the house and she meets the two other girls, and they become inseparable to this day, you know, and become TLC. It was just luck, you know, it was purely luck. And then that same month.
It was favor.
That same month.
It was favor.
Yes. That same month, Greg, a young man from Arista Records calls me and says, his name was Toni Anderson. And there was a second guy, the names escape me because I'm getting older now. But they said, we have this band called the Braxtons. Not sure what to do with them, thinking of parting ways with them unless you guys see something in it. And they brought the girls to Atlanta, and the Braxtons auditioned for Kenny and I. And we saw Toni sit down at the piano and start talking and playing. You know how Marvin Gaye does on the Motown 25, where he talks and plays at the same time before he even sings? Toni was doing that. And I was like, oh my God. And Face was like, that tone of her voice, he said, that's a really special tone. So we offered her a recording contract. So we ended up like really having incredible success with signing Toni Braxton and TLC both within the same month.
Wow.
And then the same thing happened not long after that, which was Rico Wade brought Outkast to meet me, and they came into the office. And by the way, this is my favorite band of all time. My favorite, I call them bands. My favorite act of all time is Outkast. Like everybody knows that. And if you don't, now you do, right? Outkast is my absolute favorite. You're not supposed to show favoritism, but I'm gonna be honest and tell you that, you know, Big Boy, I absolutely love Big Boy. Andre, I absolutely love Andre. There's nothing in the world I won't do for these two young men as long as I have breath in my body and $5 in my pocket. These are my guys, right? And I met them. Yeah, man. I met them through Rico Wade, and they auditioned for me a couple different times. You know, I knew nothing about hip hop when I met Outkast. I knew nothing. I'm a drummer, so I knew beats and I knew rhythms and I understood that, but I didn't understand like hip hop. I didn't understand the tones of rappers and the cadence, and I didn't get it. You know, we were R&B guys. You know,
it was so different from everything else that was out there was hip hop.
Yeah, but somehow it sounded like really pleasing to me, and it sounded really familiar. So after a couple of auditions and me being stupid, I finally decided, okay, I better sign them because they're going to have success whether it's with me or not, you know. So we finally signed them. And shortly thereafter, my brother Bryant brought me this 14-year-old kid, literally within 30 days or something like that. He brought me this 14-year-old kid named Usher, who came into my office and sang and auditioned. He sang End of the Road, and he was mesmerizing. And he got down on his knee and he was flirting with girls and he was doing this thing. And I was like, oh my God. And so the truth is that I owe my success to my love of music. That's really all it came down to. Like
passion. Now, hold on, stop right there. Like I said, for you young guys watching this or listening to this, if you know, or if you can figure out what your passion is,
yes, sir,
you will never have to chase money.
Right.
If you live in your passion, the paychecks will chase you. Now, you being passionate
100.
about Toni Braxton, TLC, Outkast, Usher, like you said, Motown. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. Then you leave Atlanta, you go to New York. Well, you went to BMG first.
Arista.
You went to Arista first.
Yes, I went to Arista. Yeah, which was this company that Clive Davis founded and was running. And I was asked to come and take over that company, which was controversial at the time because
I always thought it was crazy personally. Like y'all trying to set the man up.
Yeah, I was out of my mind, you know. That's the thing about being ambitious, Greg. Like sometimes we're so ambitious and we always want to move up and move up and move up. And sometimes you don't realize that, where you might be in that moment might just be where you need to be. You might not need to move. Maybe you need to stay right where you are and just continue to cultivate and continue to grow. But me being young and ambitious, and really believing that his company, Arista, was more important than my company, LaFace. That's what I thought in my head.
Wow.
And that was a huge, that's what I thought, And, Prince, my dear friend Prince called me and said, you're making a huge mistake. He said, how do you know that you're not creating the Black Disney? How do you know? How do you know that you're not? He says, you have Outkast, you have Usher, you have TLC, you have Toni Braxton, you have Pink, you have the Young Bloods, you have the Goody Mob, CeeLo. He said, how do you know that you're not creating the next Disney, Black Disney? And you're going to sell it? And you're going to go and work for who again? Who is it again, LA? That's what he says to me. He says, it's a mistake, but let me know how it works out. So I sold the company and I go run Arista Records and we have success. We signed Ciara, she blows up. We signed Avril Lavigne, she blows up. Pink becomes a household name. We have great success. And then I get fired and then Prince calls. He says, so how'd that work out? Right? And I was like, wow. So yeah.
I never called, but I always thought like, my whole thing was like, they set my man up. Like it's a setup. Like he's getting too powerful, and they see it because when the whole move happens, then Clive starts another label inside of BMG. I'm like, this is crazy. But you go on to Def Jam because I know you don't have a whole lot of time. Then you go on to Def Jam because Favor. This guy's a genius. Favor. You go to Def Jam. And a lot of amazing things start to happen all over again, like the beginning of Atlanta.
Yes, it really was. It was really a special time. And again, my history, you and I are friends, my history. So going into Def Jam, which is hip hop Mecca, like this is the most cultural company in the world, right? And for hip hop, which is the one art form and lifestyle that became global, right? There's hip hop in every country of the world to this day, right? And so I walked in and I had a huge task ahead of me. This was a company that was created by geniuses, Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin, Leo Cohen, Julie Greenwald, Kevin Liles. This is a great company. And I come in all by myself, right?
I remember when Kevin was an intern at Def Jam.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was their company. That was Kevin's company. That was Leo's company. That was Julie's and Rick Rubin and Russell and Chris Lighty. Like that's their baby, you know. And so I got hired to come and run it. And I couldn't really get into any of that it was theirs. At that point, it became mine. I had to do what I had to do. And we had incredible success. It was tough, but we had incredible success early on, you know. Young Jeezy, who was so hot, right? And a really dear friend and one of my favorite artists ever, you know, he comes in and takes his chains off, puts them on the table, does his thing, and I'm like, boom, gotta have you, right? And he was sought after. We signed Young Jeezy, and then we signed Neo, and then we made this incredible. An album I'm really proud of was the Emancipation of Mimi by Mariah Carey. You know, we collaborated together with Jermaine Dupri and Pharrell and others, but Jermaine was like the architect, Mariah was the superstar, and I was the coach, right? And Benny Medina was the manager. And we created a groundbreaking album for her. So that's how we started Def Jam, was Mariah Carey, Young Jeezy, and then Neo, right? And then we meet Rihanna. Then we meet Justin Bieber. We meet Rick Ross. And I'm probably leaving out some, right? Nas joins the company. Fabulous joins the company. You know, and we have an incredible run. We have a really incredible run. Jay-Z becomes president. Kanye West, who right next to Outkast, there's Kanye West. Just for the record. Right next to Outkast, there's Kanye West on my list, right? And he becomes a global icon and creates incredible music. And again, if anything, I was a coach for them all, and basically just, you know, told them whatever my truth was in the moment, you know, or challenged them to make the greatest records they could make. And I often got on people's nerves, and I was often difficult because, you know, I was so committed to quality that, you know, I became difficult, and probably more difficult than I needed to be. But what I do know is that Justin Bieber did become a superstar. Rihanna did become a superstar. Jay-Z became the most celebrated black businessman in America, right? After being president of Def Jam and being such an incredible entrepreneur and one of the world's greatest rappers, you know.
Throw that in there. You can throw that in there. That helps. That helps.
And definitely married well, right?
Yeah. He definitely married up. Yeah. I think he probably took a page out of your book on that. You had something to do with that.
Yeah, I like to think, you know.
You coached that. Pebbles in LA, Jay-Z and Beyonce. I see what you're doing. I'm smelling what you're selling. Now, what went through your head the first time you met Rihanna?
Oh man, you know, Rihanna came into the building and with Jay Brown, and she went to Jay-Z's office and she auditioned in Jay's office. And he walked to my office and he said, "You have to see this." And I walked in and Rihanna starts auditioning and it's really good, but then she shoots her eyes at me like, pow, and her eyes hit me. And it was like a laser coming at you. And I was like, oh, it was God talking. It was God saying, hey, this one's going to the top. Now you can either be on it or not be on it, but it's going, right? So, you know, I share the credit of Rihanna with Jay Brown, with Tata, with Jay-Z. I think it was all of us together that, you know, put our sort of joint forces, put our energies together. And obviously, I can't leave out that Rihanna is just incredible, right? Incredible and smart, great taste, incredible voice tone. You know, I would say this, out of the Caribbean, she's arguably the biggest artist ever out of the Caribbean. That would have been Bob Marley. And I don't know, depending on who you talk to, that might be Rihanna now.
Well, with the new business model and the way the culture is moving, and a lot of us not being into learning our history, she would definitely be the biggest of this generation. Like Bob Marley's everywhere, but a lot of people don't know why Bob Marley's everywhere. They just see the pictures, they see a little video clip, but they never really listened to the music or really got deep into the story and what it was really all about. But
and that's right. That's the beauty of today, man. Not to digress, but the beauty of today's entertainment business is every artist is an institution for business. Every single artist has like several opportunities for income stream, which means several jobs, which means great opportunities for everybody that is a stand-up person that might be in their lives, right? So do good instead of doing bad. And guess what'll happen? Good stuff, you know? It's so many opportunities. I mean, think about Rihanna, man, between the Fenty line and her music, her film, her cosmetics, her fashion, her touring, you know, that's 150 jobs minimum.
Yeah, a lot of them, a lot of jobs. And this is the last weekend of February 2021. Fenty has underwear on sale, ladies, right now. They got them on sale right now, bras and for $29. So there's no reason for you not to be looking fly when you take your clothes.
I love that.
but to that, you knowing me and understanding, I've always been about the culture and the products of the culture from inside the culture, like from the sneakers and the streetwear, cars, motorcycles, different things that go on in the culture. Like when you look at it, it really got defined and tuned up when you saw Beats by Dre, Puffy with Ciroc. Who else? E40 has his wine and alcohol, his spirits line. Rihanna, like you just said. Kanye with the Yeezys. These are billion. Yes. These products, if you have a brand, if you have a company, like I was actually trying to reach you one time because I pitched you to, you know, in Louisville, Kentucky, by you being from Cincinnati, you know, Louisville, Kentucky is the home of bourbon. All bourbons. I actually had an offer for you from a company, one of the companies in Louisville, Kentucky. I pitched him. I'm like, listen, this guy's incredible. He's not the artist, but people need to understand who he is, and he will be the right person. He's on TV right now. He'd be the right person for this product with the audience that you're going after. We'll revisit that at another time, but that's an opportunity. But it's like it is amazing to me that we finally realized that products, merch. You know, I was telling artists at the end of the year, I bumped into one artist, I'm not gonna say his name. He had to spend like $2 million before the end of the year. I'm like, bro, go buy you $1 million worth of Champion hoodies, get them printed, get them ready to go. Write that $1 million off on your taxes. January 1st, you put them up on your website, and off that $1 million, you'll make $30 million. And you be ready to write that off again for the following year. Like, so we have so many opportunities now that we finally realize that product, if you have a brand and you can sell a product, like with Kanye with the sneakers, and you really have to understand your lane. You can't let companies, the problem with us, with corporate America, they'll come throw us a check and we will fall for it. Like when I think it was Microsoft came to Dwayne Wade. It's like, nobody's following Dwayne Wade because of this product. That's the wrong product. It's not going to fit. It's not going to work.
Right.
Like Jay-Z has sneakers. Look at Jay-Z's S. Dot Carter, but look at Kanye Yeezy. It's because of his connection to the culture on the sneaker side. Jay-Z's worth a whole lot of money in another whole area. But you got to make sure you're following your passion. Your passion is very important. But we talked a little bit about Def Jam. I can remember this day. Shakir Stewart called me. R.I.P. Shakir Stewart. I know that's a very touchy subject, and that's a very special person in your life. And we love you, Shake, forever, for life. We'll celebrate you forever. I can remember the day Shakir called me in the studio and said, Jay-Z's new project is about to come out. LA wants to leak you the album. He wants you to play it on the radio. I said, well, tell LA to bring his ass up to the station, and we're going to play the whole album.
Right.
And you came.
Oh, that's right.
You came to the station. We played the album. It was a crazy moment. And it's like Jay-Z's not here, but if you're really into the culture and you really understand what's going on, this guy has the president of the label at V-103 in the studio playing the Jay-Z album. Right.
Yeah, purely based on wanting to share the music, man. Just it's the passion for the music. Like my thing is the music. It's the music. It's it's just how it makes me feel, right? And that gives me my energy. You know, I noticed if I don't have great music constantly around me, I could become very dark. I could become very dark and someone you just don't want to be around, right? But you give me some music and there's nobody better to be around. you know.
Now, for people who are watching this video or listening to this audio, being a record executive, running major companies for years and running your own company for years and being an artist and a producer and just a businessman, I want to touch on this real fast. I want people to understand how this works. It's like these guys in these labels, these situations that he's talking about with Rihanna and TLC and artists coming in for auditions. Explain to them how it works. Being at a Def Jam, being at a LaFace, being at a Arista, and it's after hours. It's Friday night. It's Friday evening. It's 6 to 7 o'clock on a Friday evening, and Rihanna walks in or Mariah Carey walks in. Make them understand how these are people that you don't even know yet. These are just somebody else. This is so-and-so on Instagram putting their music out there, and they get a meeting with L.A. Reid. They get a meeting with Jay Brown, L.A. Reid, or Shakir Stewart at Def Jam, and it's after hours.
Yeah,
he's still at the office. He's the president of the company. He's still at the office, and this superstar walks in. What happens?
So let me paint one for you. Here's a good one. It's 11 o'clock at night. We have a lounge at Def Jam. I have a meeting scheduled with Tricky and Dream. They bring about 6 artists to New York to audition. They had a record label with me, and these are artists that they want to sign to the record label, and we have an agreement that we have to mutually agree on the talent. So it's about 11 at night. We're shooting pool while we're waiting on the artists to get it together and get ready to audition. First artist auditions. Nah, not that one. Next artist audition. The first artists were girls. It was a girl group. I want to say they were out in Nashville. I said, nah, that wasn't for me. And then the next one auditions. I forget who it was, but I was like, nah, that's probably not for me. And the third artist audition. And I'm like, him. His name was Lonnie Bro. A few months later, his name was Frank Ocean. Right? And Tricky and Dream brought him in to Def Jam. And I can't even say I had ever had a conversation with him. He sang, I loved it, I endorsed it. I said, sign him. By the way, no one else got signed that night except that one guy. And there was no hype.
Did he do?
There was no.
Did he do no Kane?
Nope.
He didn't have no Kane.
He didn't have it yet.
Wow.
Well, I didn't think he had it.
Now, hold on. Stop right there for a second. Now, think about this. Frank Ocean's from the West Coast. Tricky and Dream are from Atlanta.
Right.
So when you see this statement, when you see Grim and the homies say Atlanta influences everything, we mean that.
We mean it.
We mean that.
That's right.
Now we're gonna fast forward. We're gonna go to Epic. You're gonna go to Epic. You're doing a TV show. L.A. Reid comes to Epic Records. Sign some more amazing talent.
We have great friends in Atlanta. Let me put it that way. Rico Wade.
Future.
Rico
Wade's cousin. Rico Wade's cousin, Meathead, aka Future.
Dungeon Family first, right? And yes, and Future comes in, and Future was so cool, man. So it was so incredible and so poised. Future never auditioned for me. Never. Like artists usually audition for me. Artists usually come in and they rap or they sing or they perform or whatever it is. And even in a very small and slightly uncomfortable environment, artists come in and they take great advantage of that because that's their moment. That's their one shot. And Future didn't. Future came in. He sat down in my office. As cool as they come. And I was listening to some of his music, and I was like, oh my God, this dude is incredible, right? He is incredible. And I felt like I would have insulted him if I asked him to like audition. I was like, yeah, yes, offer him a deal right now. Let's get him signed right away.
Signed up right now. Because again, you young artists who are out here thinking that you got it and you know what you're doing. Let me explain something to you. Rocco brought Future to me. I said, Street. There's a video on YouTube about this. Future's first interview. It's like, Street, this guy, I'm about to make this guy the biggest guy in the game. But what people don't understand about Future is Future, Lil Wayne, those type of artists, their work ethic is so crazy. Future put out 150 songs in 6 months.
Right.
He had the clubs in Atlanta like Master P had them in 96, 97. Every song in the club was a Future record. Future had to, so of course he didn't have to audition. So Future, then I think you brought Sierra over there too, right?
Yeah, Sierra was actually at Jive when I started at Epic, and yes, she joined me because we had a history together. You know,
Yo Gotti, DJ Khaled.
He joined us, and Travis Scott came in in 2012. We signed Travis Scott. By 2015, he was a household name, right?
A lot of people don't know that T.I. was also a part of that. T.I. was also a part of Travis Scott along with Kanye West.
Yeah, and absolutely, both of those superstars, but it was also the superstar executives that were behind the scenes that really, brought it to my attention, and Jason, Jason Jeter?
Yeah, of course.
Jason was the guy who sat in front of me and talked about Travis Scott. And Shani Gonzalez, who now runs Warner Chappell Music Publishing in the UK, those two sat with me. Her name is Shani Gonzalez. She's a superstar. And so they both strongly endorsed and recommended that I meet Travis. And he came in and I was like, oh my God. But what's really interesting is I actually didn't hear him rap. He played tracks and he danced around and gave me energy, and he painted this picture of vision of visual aesthetics, and he talked to me and he sold me on this vision, but I actually didn't hear him rap until much, much later. Wow. It didn't matter because I saw his vision. I was like, this guy's out of here, and then we signed some 21 Savage.
Yep. Chubby Baby.
Yep, and Chubby Baby brought me 21 Savage, shout out to Chubby Baby, because if I don't shout him out, then I'm gonna get a phone call. So I don't want that phone call. So I'm just gonna shout you out right now, my brother.
Chubby Baby.
Yeah.
First generation Chubby Baby.
Yes, and who keeps it going? He keeps it popping.
Now you signed a lot of big crossover artists too at Epic Records.
The thing is that my passion for music, Greg, I was born in 1956, man. I'm 64 years old, okay? Wow. So I've been listening to all kinds of music my entire life. I've listened to rock, pop, jazz, dance, you name it. I've grown up in all those eras, I lived through the rock era of when Led Zeppelin was. I remember when it was the Beatles and the Beach Boys. I remember when it was the Rolling Stones, but I also know the Temptations and the Stylistics and all those black groups that have an S at the end of their name, the Delphonics, the Stylistics, the Temptations, the Dramatics, I lived through all of that. Then disco era, of all of those Donna Summers and the Bee Gees and this and that, I lived through all of those eras. Then the funk bands came in, right? And it was the Confunction and the Daz Band and Ohio Players and Parliament Funkadelic and all those great bands out of Ohio. Then the 80s come, and it's that era of the Keith Sweats and Babyface and Al B. Sure and Bobby Brown and that era. Then the 90s come, and it's Whitney, it's Mariah, it's and the 2000s. So I lived through all these eras of music. So my taste in music is very broad. So to me, I can hear Pink the same way as I can hear Bobby Shmurda, or I can hear Avril Lavigne the same way that I can hear Young Jeezy. or I can hear Meghan Trainor the same way I can hear Future, right? So, and it's not because I'm some genius. It's because I just love music, and it's for me, auditioning artists or running a record label, for me, is no different than listening to the radio. When I'm listening to the radio, some come on, I go crazy. Some come on and I don't. Right? And that's all it is I'm the ultimate consumer. I make all my choices based on how it makes me feel. And sometimes that could be singers, that could be a rapper, that could be a rocker, that could be a guitar player, that could be a piano player, that could be a songwriter. Doesn't matter to me. Like, I love talent, and I make all my decisions based on talent. And
I got a crazy epic story. Now, we got a good friend that's a good common friend of ours. You did a deal with him at Epic Records. He signed an artist. And like we said, Atlanta influences everything. A lot of people don't even know this artist is signed to this guy. He puts the artist out, record goes crazy. He tries to put him out through other situations, but he has a first right of refusal with LA Reid and Epic Records. The label and the producer and the executive, well, he didn't produce the record, but he had the artist signed, the executive, is Polow the Don. And the artist is who? Kane Brown.
Oh, right. That's right.
Atlanta influences everything. Most people would never dream that Kane Brown is signed to Polow the Don.
That's right. Music is.
We love music. We understand music, whether it's country, rock, hip hop, R&B. We love music.
We had an artist on LaFace named Toni Rich. Toni Rich had a song called Nobody Knows It But Me. It became a very successful record for him. It was a pop record. It became very successful. A year later, an artist named Kevin Sharp records the same song, and it becomes the #1 country record. Same song, right? I was like, shout out to Toni Rich.
And he was signed to HitCo Publishing.
HitCo Publishing, that's right.
HitCo Publishing. Now, we can talk about HitCo Publishing. HitCo Publishing was another company that LA Reid had, which was a publishing company, which was really where Shakir got his start to become the mogul that he became in music. But HitCo Publishing also evolved into HitCo Music, which is now LA Reid's new company.
Right.
He started a few years ago after he left Epic Records, which is really
I'm so excited about it right now, bro. Like, right now, what we're doing at HitCo right this second, I feel like I started this company yesterday morning. You know, I'm in Miami right now. We're working out of Miami, and we're finding all this incredible talent. People in Atlanta as well. You know, but we're having the HitCo Renaissance. So stay tuned, because it's about to get sexy. It's about to get really sexy now, right?
Run down the HitCo roster.
Can't do it. And you don't know none of the names. Everybody's new, except obviously we have St. John. We had massive success with St. John in 2020, who is incredible, from Guyana, you know, through Brooklyn, and he's just an incredible singer-songwriter. And but obviously Big Boy is on our roster, Jennifer Lopez is on our roster, Yellow Beezy is on our roster, and then we have about 10 more that we're working on right now. We're cooking, and I'm just telling you, stay tuned. The best is yet to come. I gotta go, Greg Street. I love you, man. I gotta take my kids out.
Hey, listen, before you leave, I gotta tell you something. Because I hadn't seen you really in a while. You have really, since you grew your beard, it's graying up a little bit. It looked like they took Berry Gordy and Quincy Jones and put them together.
Hey, listen, if I could be mentioned in the same sentence with Berry Gordy and Quincy Jones, I'm very happy about it. I'll take that one. You know, I'm a lot younger.
I appreciate your time. Legend still making history. ATL, everybody watching this video, listen to this audio.
That's right.
Take the stairs. Don't worry about the elevator. Take the stairs, because it's all about the journey. LA Reid has enough money to walk away from this game at any minute, but it's not about the money. It's about the passion. It's about what he loves to do. It's like When you go to the old store, like a Walters, when you was a kid, your mother took you to the shoe store that the Jewish man owned, or the drugstore that the Jewish man owned, and he was always there.
It's called Ben's.
I'm not being racial, but I consider myself to be like a black Jew. We don't retire.
Right. That's right.
We don't retire. If you living in your passion, if you're doing what you love to do, what are you retiring from?
Listen, here's how it goes. Like, two things I want to say before I take off, right? One is, in Germany, the retirement age was once 60. 60 was the retirement age. By 65, most men had died. You know why? Because they had nothing else to do. Because men are on this planet to work, right? So as long as we're working and pursuing our passion, we'll breathe. The minute we stop working and stop pursuing our passion, we got a problem. Your life expectancy is based on how you fulfill yourself. You know, yes, we deal with viruses, and we deal with disease, and we deal with illness, and we deal with health, and we deal with all those things that are an absolute reality. But the one most important is purpose. And the reason I did this interview with you is because you laid out purpose first. You said, LA, these black kids need to hear from us. These young black men need to hear from us, right? And that's why I did it. I'm not interested in promoting myself. I'm not interested in promoting my history of music. I'm very blessed, but it just doesn't appeal to me. What does appeal to me is, if there's anything that you and I can say to help these young black men understand that they should value life, spread some love, find some purpose, and live a long, prosperous life. If we can send that message out, that's more important to me. I could give a shit about promoting me ever. Right?
Perfect.
God bless you, brother.
Thank you.
My man. Thank you. Bye-bye.